Hello and welcome to the You're an Asset podcast. I'm your host, Casey the Dollar, and on this podcast, we find out who is an asset in the financial industry and who's just an ass. On this episode, I have two very special guests joining me, and one of them is the man behind the scenes who edits all the episodes, Mr. Ryan Stockbridge, and the other is our friend McCall Marshall. And believe it or not, these two and myself, we make up Power 3 Financial. You are about to meet the entire team of Power 3 Financial, minus my social media manager, Farida. But so on this podcast, we're going to meet the team. And you guys tell me what you think about the team. You can put sunglass emojis in the comments if you think these two are assets. Of course, you know I do. I wouldn't have them around if I didn't think they were. But we are going to go into how we do things at Power 3 Financial, let you guys in on some secrets, get to know us, get to know them. And so without further ado, hi McCall, hi Ryan.
Hey. Hello.
How's it going, you guys?
Good. Beautiful day in LA.
I feel like we need to highlight Ryan a little bit more since he's been behind the scenes this whole time.
Ryan has been behind the scenes this whole time. Even though if it's just me on the podcast, Ryan is the guy behind the camera making all the magic happen. And Ryan's also an agent. I feel like I maybe left that part out. He's an agent. Obviously, he's part of Power 3 Financial, but he's doing both. He's a man of many talents. And Ryan, why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, so I met Casey much like 99.9% of the people that we speak to via TikTok. And so one day I saw a video about IULs and it literally exploded my mind. I was like, how come I don't know this? And how can I know more? So I sent her a little email saying, hey, Casey, can I meet with you to talk more about this? Currently I'm doing music. I have a pretty successful career producing and writing music for TV commercials, and artists, but I wanted to kind of expand and do things that weren't, just creative, which is ironic because now, I'm working on a podcast and I made the theme song to the podcast. And so it's still, I don't think I can escape being a creative person, but, at least now I can pick and choose how much music I want to do as opposed to having to do it all the time.
I honestly feel so privileged to allow you to be in a place where you do feel creative, because I remember when you were just an agent, back, which would have been like a year ago, right? You were just an agent and you weren't struggling, but it was just like you lost all that creativity and we had to find a way to bring it back. And like you said, you created a theme song to the podcast and we're all obsessed with the theme song to the podcast. We love it. And it's so cool. It's been so cool to watch you put all of this together. I will admit right here, right now, I'm the least tech savvy person. You guys aren't going to hear any of it, but we just had a total technology problem. And Ryan solves it, no problem. And me and McCall just sit here like, do. Ryan's gonna fix it, and it gets solved. I mean, it gets solved.
That's the best. It's in my nature to be a problem solver, which kind of translates into IULs and working with clients in their unique, their unique circumstances. It's they have something they want to happen, and we help figure out how it can happen for them. So
100%.
Yeah, it's why we call ourselves insurance strategists.
That's right.
Yes, 100%. And I mean, you've come so far as far as insurance knowledge goes, you and McCall. I think it's worth mentioning that both of you guys, I mean, ground up as far as insurance knowledge goes. You guys started from the bottom, just like I did, and we're all here. And something that was interesting about Ryan, too, was that, Ryan, you were also doing a totally different financial, side hustle when we met, and you had reached out to me. And you were already growing an audience on TikTok and Instagram. which got me totally intrigued. So I'm like, this guy is doing finance and he's doing music, and he's trying to learn about insurance, reaching out to me. I thought it was so cool that you were doing music, being in LA, and were interested in doing what I was doing. I mean, I remember thinking it was so cool. Now to see you being a master of both is even better. It's like everything worked out so well. And Power 3 Financial is just really lucky to have you.
Well, thank you. That's very sweet of you to say, Casey. I feel very welcome being part of this team. I mean, every week we get to hang out and we talk about new things that are happening in the industry, things that we don't know but should or could know. We're always staying up to date with things. And I think it's so important for anybody to have a mastermind group, who can hang out and just talk not only about the industry that they're in, but expanding out into other things,
Absolutely.
Even just chatting about personal finance with you guys. It's good to be in those spaces, keeping your mind on those ideas. So it's invaluable.
100%. And something that is also worth mentioning is that, there's 3 of us, but we were counting earlier this week. There has been a total of 14 people that have come along and somehow been involved with Power 3 Financial, whether they were an agent, a strategist, or if they were an employee of Power 3 Financial, and it is down to 4. It's become a very tight-knit foursome, and there's only 4 of us now compared to 14. I mean, we've had a lot of people come and go throughout the last 2.5 years. And McCall being one of the originals. Something I want to talk about is the fact that McCall and Ryan actually both reached out to me through TikTok around the same time, which is really interesting because McCall, you guys know a little bit of McCall's story. She reached out to me. She needed help with her own finances. She ended up getting licensed in the industry, and then very quickly, McCall was an agent with Power 3 Financial. Now, Ryan,
it did it in a month.
She did it in a month. So fast, faster than I did it. But Ryan reached out to me around the same time, which this would have been what, August 2020?
It's like September, August, something like that.
September
2021, right? And Ryan didn't become an agent or a part of Power 3 Financial officially until what? March. May of 2022.
Yeah, I actually got all my my E&O together, ready to go by May.
Like official.
Yeah, like I was going to meetings around March, like hanging out with you guys.
Okay,
but it took a long while.
It was
just like it's a whole new industry. It was exciting, but it's scary to change careers, to change industries. Of course, I'm still doing music, but I was like, God, do I want to do this? Like, this is so dry. This course, this life insurance course is so dry that is this something that's going to be okay for me? And thank God, actually working with life insurance and being in the industry is not anywhere near as bad as what they prep you for with the life insurance exam. But I think I bought the course 6 times. Before I actually completed it, because they give you 30 days to do the course or whatever with the one I was taking, and I was just like, this is getting ridiculous at this point. I'm spending $130 a time each time that I don't complete this stupid course, and so now I'm in the hole near $1,000 before I even do a single thing, before I even get a single license.
And then he gets on, becomes an agent, and we're like, yeah, you need to go buy licenses for all kinds of states, my friend. Like, it's just another $1,000
licenses. You got to get your errors and emissions taken care of. It's so much more than just getting that course, right? Like, there's so much you have to get just to be able to sell one thing at the beginning.
To be able to make money, you got to go spend another $1,000 after you procrastinated all of the courses. Yeah,
and it's not a quick process by any means. Like, we don't. We don't fire people through the system. It's like you get to know somebody, you get to know their goals, you go through policy designs, you go through meetings, you go through underwriting. This could be a 4 to 6 week process. So you not only are you changing careers, you're dumping a bunch of finances in the beginning, and then even once you submit your first policy, you're waiting 4 to 6 weeks before you see any sort of return. So
Yeah.
I think that's why you see a lot of people dropping out of the industry, before they find any sort of success at it,
100%.
Definitely takes some perseverance for sure.
For
And you're
sure.
going, I haven't been paid in 2 months. This is exciting.
This is exciting. Am I going to be able to eat? Am I going to pay rent?
Okay, it's fine.
Like, McCall, if you got your license in November, you didn't make money until
I was like January.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Think, but that, of course, that's the application. Like Ryan said,
Yeah.
then you have, the next 2 to 6 weeks, give or take, of the insurance carrier doing their own application process. So I don't think I actually got paid from that for another month or so.
Yeah, and you're still putting in time. It
definitely takes some time.
We're still having meetings. We're still going through product knowledge. We're still learning. So you're still putting in time even without clients and having meetings. You're putting in the time to learn and hang out with the team. Which of course, Casey always made it fun. We had our insurance game, our Jeopardy style game, which was incredible, by the way. But I say that all to say you put in so much time, and it takes a while for it to feel like it's going to be something that's a viable option.
Yeah, no, 100%. 4 or 5 months. It took for me too. It was 5 months before I made any money. And it's not like you come out of the gate and you make 10 grand in the first month. Like that doesn't just happen overnight. I think my first month I made like $500. When I say like I didn't get paid for 5 months, and then the 6th month I made $500.
Right, like you're still like, woo,
woo.
Yay. But I think it goes really well with the idea of, kind of like our core values, right? Where we talk, I mean, you see it everywhere if you've been on any of Power 3 Financial things, or empathy, strength, and guidance. And I think empathy really comes into this because we're learning about the product and we're doing all that. But we're not treating people like a sale, we're trying to help them understand the product. We can't do that if we don't have our own knowledge. And so we spend so much time learning so that we can help our clients understand what's happening and then kind of like, go from there. So instead of just being like, all right, $5,000 in 1 hour, we're like, no, we're going to spend an hour with you this week and then an hour with you next week. And, we'll have as many Zooms as it takes until you feel like all of your questions are answered. And because we're trying to help people, not treat people like the sale product,
Exactly.
Yeah,
you just
absolutely.
said it. I mean, you have to care about the IUL as a product and what it can do for somebody, not just something that you can sell. Like if that was the case, we could go sell Kirby vacuums and do that instead and maybe get paid quicker. It's not just about the sale of it. It's like I reached out to Casey because I was like, what the heck is an IUL? Like, what is this? Because I've purchased books. I've read as much as I can about finances, but then all of a sudden here comes the IUL girl on TikTok, and this is just it blew a hole in what I was reading. So you really have to care about what the IUL is as an actual tool to kind of stick through all of that waiting. And that's what you're saying here is it's not all about getting paid. It's like, this is like a really amazing product. And so it's worth sticking through, not getting paid for months.
Yeah. Cause you see the potential, you see the value in it that we want to share with people.
Yeah, exactly.
We would not be here if we didn't think the IUL was valuable to the general public. I think that's what kept all of us going, that we all believe in the IUL as a product so much that we wanted to make sure we got it into the hands of people who wanted it, needed it, and we wanted to get the information out there more than anything. I mean, all three of us are on TikTok. You can find all of us on TikTok and Instagram talking about insurance, and not in a salesy way, right? It's all of us have come from this point of like, this is the truth. This is the transparent information you need to know. And this is the education you need if you're looking to purchase something like this. This is what you can't find anywhere else, that we couldn't find anywhere else, and what we feel like is important for you guys to know. That's the main thing that has kept us all together for this long and has made Power 3 Financial successful 100%. On top of the fact that we have these 3 words that McCall mentioned, empathy, strength, and guidance, that are Power 3 Financial's core values. And we just see that no other life insurance company is priding themselves on having empathy, strength, guidance when it comes to how they run their business and how they talk to their clients. how they're treating the IUL as a whole.
Exactly. It's such a stigma. That's what we're fighting against, is that there's so many people on TikTok talking about IULs or, in life insurance in general, but it's a totally different process. When you find us on TikTok, you're going to be speaking with one of us, and we're going to guide you through the process very specifically to what you're hoping to accomplish, and really guide you the entire way through and continue to guide you year after year, with our policy reviews. So,
your goals and our product knowledge, our desire is to align those two things. And like Ryan said, is kind of get it to that place where we know what this product can do and you know what you want. How can we meet those two things together and use it to build the life you want to build using cash value life insurance?
Before we get into like the process of what it looks like to work with one of us at Power 3 Financial, I feel like Ryan just did a really good job of explaining where the guidance comes from. But if you guys want to touch on each of the words just a little bit, as far as like how we view them as a part of what we do.
I mean, empathy for me comes along for a multitude of reasons, really. One, I understand the feeling of not knowing what to do with your finances and feeling like, we weren't taught this stuff in school. And even if you have money, there's a lot of people that don't know what to do with it, as well as people who might not have a lot of money and feel like they are excluded from getting one because they can't afford it or something. But also, there's a lot of people that we speak to who might have dealt with other agents who were potentially transactional or didn't care about what they were hoping to achieve, or didn't care about their goals. And I think that all sort of is encapsulated by having this idea of empathy and really meeting with somebody one-on-one and trying to level with them, and meet them where they're at and help them up to where they want to be. So for me, that's where the empathy component comes in. The strength is, for me, the carriers that we work with. Of course, us as a team, we're super close and we get along super well. But the carriers that we work with have a strong financial rating. So that means that they've survived 2 world wars and a Great Depression, and they've been around for a long time. So we feel safe bringing our clients to an entity that is strong.
Yes. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me put it this way. All of us come from different financial histories, right? We all know what it's like to be in one. Some of us don't know what it's like to be in one. And we know the people who come with to talk to us are in that kind of same boat of like Casey talked about the broke bitches a couple podcasts ago, right? It was in one of her Q&As. And so we know that everyone comes to us with very different financial goals, financial needs, financial understanding. And so we want to be a place to be like, yeah, we are people you can trust, and we're going to, navigate this together and see what we can come up with. And we have a plan for, the broke bitches, and we have the plans for the, multi-million-dollar CEOs. So we and everything in between. And we're constantly learning product knowledge to make sure that we are the best of the best and experts in this industry so that we can actually identify ourselves as insurance strategists, where we take life insurance and strategize financial goals with it. And then guidance, or strength, like Ryan said, we really do count that as our partnerships with the insurance carriers we're contracted with. And even in the relationship, he said it beautifully, knowing that the insurance carriers have outlasted multiple banks and have gone through multiple recessions and are still standing strong and doing what they do best is, we take a great amount of pride in who we are contracted with. Yeah, Ryan said it perfully.
And of course, Ryan said it perfectly, and I'll just have to take credit that I came up with the words. Financial, a long time ago. That was back before I met McCall and Ryan. Empathy, strength, and guidance were the words that I wanted to use for the insurance company I was starting. Empathy, having empathy for other people is something that, in all aspects of life, I've always just been, I'm an empath for sure. I think all 3 of us are. We feel things really deeply. We have a lot of conversations about just like the hurt going on in the world. And then you apply that to people's money and what this industry has done to people. We take that into account every single day when we work with clients and when we talk to each other and when we think about how we want to proceed going into the future. we're thinking about it from the client's perspective, from the viewer, from the followers, how they feel. And then as our clients, are actively having a policy, we are still thinking about how do they feel right now, and how do the people we're talking to who are potentially wanting to get a policy, how are they feeling right now? And then guiding just listeners in general is a big thing, I feel like, for us. Like we do a lot of work with people who already have policies. We give people information who don't ever end up getting a policy, or maybe they can't get a policy, or maybe they're not in the right place right now to get a policy. We are still trying to do our best to guide them to the right information, to the right place, and giving them any information that we know that we feel could be useful. So that guidance isn't just something that we do for our clients, and then teaching people how to do this the right way. We have other relationships in the industry with people, and I've learned from other people. They've guided me, and I've taught things to relationships that that I have as well. I'm not a secret keeper. I don't want to hold secrets in and not share them. Now, there's a lot of secrets that we do keep in that are particular to Power 3 Financial, okay? And I feel like a lot of them are going to come out on this episode when we start talking about the next thing. But for a long time, we have kept things secret because, unfortunately, when you let everyone know why you're special, people are going to copy that. And I think we're at a place these days where we feel more confident to share how we do things and how we've become as successful as we are, because we're not worried that, like, if someone wants to take our ideas, please do. Please treat your clients the way that we treat them, or the way that we treat our clients. Please hold yourself to a higher standard, right? So if we can give other agents in the industry guidance as well from speaking out about how we do things, that's a win in itself, because that means that somebody else out there is taking better care of people. Mm-hmm. And then, other than the fact that strength involves the carriers we work with, I think there's a sense of just us three having the strong bond, which I think got mentioned, but having a strong relationship with the people that you're working with, and then also having a strong relationship with your clients. I have clients from 2+ years ago that ask me for advice on their policies now, that ask me for advice for their family members, who ask me about what I think about the current economy. And so having that kind of relationship, that strong relationship with the client that's not just transactional, is huge.
Yeah, we've even gone to dinner with some of your clients.
We have gone to dinner with some of my clients. We have gotten the opportunity to meet clients in person, which is a big deal. I consider a lot of the clients that I have friends. Mm-hmm. And if you're listening, you know who you are, and it's pretty much everybody. I don't think there's anybody I've done business with where I'm like, we're not friends. Like, I don't like this person. Most people, they reached out to us for a reason, and it's because they could tell that we're honest, transparent, and we care. And they wanted that kind of relationship with us. And so it did form into more than just a client-agent relationship. We have strong friendships happening, and I hope to keep running business that way. Okay, so we're going to let you guys know exactly what it looks like to become a client or to reach out to us. Obviously, you can reach out to us through email, through social media. We have different links in our bios on TikTok, Instagram, on our website. But what does that look like, right? So if you find any of our content, if you go to our website, if you listen to the podcast and you want to reach out, somebody tell me what's the first thing that's going to happen.
Well, Go ahead, McCall.
Go ahead, Ryan. I've been on a couple podcasts. You go for it.
No, you go.
No, you go. It's your turn.
So
what happens, Ryan?
So the first thing that you're going to come across is a Calendly form. And
if you want to know why we do this form, it's really to help us kind of know where to start when we do the next thing.
What is the next thing?
Yeah, I mean, well, hold on, because what else is on this form? This form is not just like name, email, phone number. What do you want?
Don't give me everything right now. No,
it's going to ask you if you take medications, if you have any illnesses. Yeah. It's going to ask you if you're a felon. This is kind of important for us to know. I wish it wasn't, but it
Yeah.
is. It is a big determining factor in whether you can get insurance or not. And like, so are chronic illnesses, right? It asks if you smoke marijuana or if you drink alcohol, and it asks if you're married, if you have kids. It asks what your preferred gender is. All things that'll help us figure out where you need to go next, who you need to work with. I wish we didn't have to be invasive like first go, but unfortunately, people who can't get insurance really, really, really want insurance. Like they just do, because they've come to a point in their life where they are really sick. Their health isn't so good. Maybe they watch somebody else in their family get sick and not have life insurance, and now they want it, but that's in their family history. Or someone who's a felon. A lot of felons want insurance. And so if you're a felon and you're listening and you're wondering if you can get insurance, I'm really sorry, but if you're a felon, that is a risk to the insurance carrier. There's a reason we have to ask these questions up front.
And also not to provide any false hope for somebody who's a felon who might want it. Like, you get your answer immediately. If you know.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you're going to know. Yeah, because unfortunately, at the end of the day, you as the person is what the life insurance carrier is insuring. It's your life. So they're going to try and determine how much of a risk are you to them. And so if it's a yes or no to some of these, then it's going to be a no. But here's amazing resources and things that, like, we're not going to just leave you high and dry, I promise.
Yeah. We don't do that. And for anybody, I mean, if there's any criminals listening, or maybe you have a relative who you're interested in insurance yourself, and somebody and they do happen to have a DUI, or they were bankrupt. Like, these things are taken into consideration for insurance. And it's not always that they're a full decline, right? But we have to know these things ahead of time in order to try to get you insured too. Like, there are some instances where maybe your DUI was over 10 years ago and we can still get you insured. Or your bankruptcy was, a significant amount of time since it happened, that we can still get you insured. But also, I think this is where I was going to go with that, is that these things that will get you a decline, okay? If your instant thought is, okay, well, then I'll just insure somebody else instead of myself, but like own the policy or pay for the policy. Who wants to pick up where I'm going right here? This would be one of our standards, right? As a company, as a team, if we have a felon reach out and we tell them they can't get coverage, and they say, well, I'll just insure my wife, or I'll insure my kid, especially my kid, McCall, tell us.
If you're gonna do that, if you're gonna use your kid, or not, no. I think
a no.
No, it's a no, because they don't. The kid doesn't know, and they're not. Like, my general rule is, like, if it's a consenting adult, the wife, or if there's someone that's like, they can use me, and of course if it's the wife, then they can both own the policy, and there's things there. But if you're like, well, then I'm just going to insure my kid, and as a team, it's kind of a no from us, because the kid can't consent to this. They can't legally be like, I'm okay with this plan, and have my felon dad use my life as no. Sorry,
unfortunately, especially in the criminal history case,
it just gets a little morally questionable
for us. There might be agents out there that do that, no problem. But for all of us, we've been in that situation. Like, we're not just talking about this, like, making things up. This actually happens all the time. All the time. What about somebody who is really chronically ill and they tell us, I want to insure my kid? What do we think about that, Ryan?
If the child is still going to be able to benefit from the policy, is it going to be used? I mean, it's tough, because even with the child, you can't guarantee that once they're approved that the policy is going to be used in good faith for the child as well.
Exactly.
It gets a little bit easier once the children are adults and say, hey, my dad's got an illness, but I want to do this for him, so that, to help him out. That's a different situation, but it gets tough when the kids are involved.
Yeah. And there's been some people, like, I've had phone calls with people who are like, look, I know I can't get a policy because of XYZ, but I really want this for my kid. I want this for their college and retirement. And they're talking in such a way that's like, you know, that their desire is to make sure that their kid is taken care of in case something happens to them because they're chronically ill, and they want to make sure. And so, you know, they're already talking about it being trust owned and trust, you know, and all that, and using things that make you aware they really do want this for their kid, because they want to make sure their kid's taken care of because of XYZ, right? Chronic illnesses sometimes have, you know, less life expectancy attached to them. So they're like, I need my kid taken care of, and I want to use this for that. And when you kind of start hearing things like that, you're a little bit more inclined to be like, okay, we can get your kid into a policy,
for sure.
You know, but there's still layers to it, right? If there's another parent involved or not, you know, there's still a lot of moving parts to those kind of things. But
which is why it's so case by case. It's like,
right.
We talk a lot about like people using their best judgment to decide if they want to work with us, and like, do you feel like you can trust me and whatnot. In these situations, we're doing the same thing. We're doing the same thing back at potential clients, because ultimately that policy is in effect for a lifetime, and you canceling it, using it incorrectly, or not using it for the insured person to get the benefits, not buying it for the insured person to get the benefits, that looks bad on us. Our name is on there for forever. Something that kind of dawned on me as like I'm trying to get Ryan to like answer these questions is me and McCall, okay, have been on the phone with some wild ass people, like some wild ass people. And Ryan didn't get to have as many of these like insane phone calls, just because when McCall came on, it was still in like the early stages, and there were just people from all walks of life, and there was a lot of people who were not eligible for insurance reaching out.
We didn't have the systems in place to kind of like help
the system in place to like weed people out. So we were just taking every single phone call. And if me and McCall just sat here and were like, what's the craziest phone call you've ever had? I mean, gosh, I could think of so many. I think of so many.
Yelled at.
Yelled at. Oh, why are you not going to insure me? Yeah. Why are you not going to let me do this for my kid on your... And Ryan got to miss out on this.
Yeah, unfortunately.
That $1,000 he spent.
I know you're really upset about it, right?
Taking all of the licensing exams and waiting this long actually paid off. He like missed the crazy of a lot of wild people we were on the phone with, because now we have this process, right, where we're immediately finding out like, hey, tell us about you, tell us about your medical history, your personal history, and give us an idea of what kind of person that we're working with here, or going to be speaking with before we get on the phone. And that's just good business practice, right? Like in the beginning, we didn't have that good of business practice, and I very much wanted to let anybody get a phone call that wanted one. And so a lot of time was spent that I don't want to say it was for nothing, but it was just, it made for a lot of good stories.
Lessons were learned, conversations were had.
Exactly. So, okay, so back to the process, right? So they reach out, they want to get in contact with us, they fill out this form, and they're going to be prompted to set up a phone call.
Yeah, so then basically what happens is you'll get an email that says you have a phone call scheduled at blank time based off of the availability you submitted, and it'll pop up on our schedule that says you have a phone call with so-and-so. But yeah, it's a phone call. You know, we get a little bit more information, again, to kind of decide the goals and what you are kind of looking for within the cash value life insurance world, what's going to be the right fit for you, and kind of start getting our wheels turning so we can kind of start strategizing, and let's answer some questions and let's get some more info so that we can do the next thing.
Yeah. Ryan, how often are your phone calls only 15 minutes?
Not very often. Usually we end up talking to a lot of nice people, you know, and this is something we enjoy talking about. And so it's great when you get on the phone with somebody who's really interested in what we're talking about. And so it you know, I find myself shooting the shit a little bit longer than I probably should, but you know, we're just hanging out on the phone, and it's so oftentimes it's more than 15 minutes.
100%.
Closer to 30 usually.
Yeah. I mean, I had 2 brand new phone calls with people today. One of them was 25 minutes and one of them was 32 minutes. Yep. Like, you know, it's that's pretty standard. And so we create space in our calendar to be able to prepare for that, because there was a time where we were wanting to shoot the shit and our calendar was like every 15 minutes you have a phone call. It was
so
very, that's one of the lessons that McCall's mentioning that we learned, like, I would love to chat with you, but I have to make another phone call. I don't know why I did this to myself. So
you're literally like, I know we didn't get any of your questions answered, but I got to go back. Like,
I gotta go. I'm so sorry.
We'll schedule another thing. It's fine.
Yep, 100%. So 15-minute phone call, we call it that. But look, sometimes they are 15 minutes. Sometimes people have been doing a lot of research, which I always love that. And they just want to know what is the next thing. Obviously, we're not doing business over the phone. None of us have ever done business over the phone. Like, not because we didn't want to, literally because we do not do things that way. We won't do things that way. And that doesn't seem reasonable. So phone call to discussing what do you want to contribute into a policy. And then the three of us, obviously we're doing it on our own. A lot of times we work on cases together, but if you have a pretty standard case and, McCall is your agent, she's going to write up illustrations for you and plan a Zoom. And on the Zoom call, while we might have made illustrations and had numbers prepared that show projections that you wanted to see, that is not the first thing that we do. We actually have a full presentation that we like to go through to help you better understand what you're about to see.
Yeah, because call is crazy, but we kind of want you to understand what's happening with your money within this product and understand the product that you're looking to purchase. I know, it's a wild concept. I had a complimentary policy review. We do policy reviews for people who have illustrations made by other people, and we're like, can you just check it? But I had one today, and he sent it over, and I looked at it, and death benefit was too big. And if you want to know what that does to the policy, check out Casey's podcast from last week. But yeah. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. And we're talking through it, and I'm going through the guidelines and all these things that if you've been paying attention to podcasts or social media, we talk about all the time. But I'm going through it, talking about the guy. He's like, no one said anything about this. They just sent it over, and I had no clue. And I was like, then why'd you sign things? He goes, well, it seemed like the right idea. And I was like, okay, no. Thankfully, he just signed for the application and not the actual policy.
Oh, thank God.
I know. I was like, oh, good. So, we're moving on to the, okay, let's look at it, what it's supposed to look like. And then you can kind of go from there. Yeah. But he was like, no one explained this to me. And I'm like, I know, it's crazy that people don't think to explain to you what you're purchasing. It's just weird.
Ryan, how often would you say that you get on a Zoom call with somebody and you get through the entire presentation and you show them a full illustration top to bottom?
Not very often anymore. I mean, it's like Casey said, we want you to be a competent partner in what you're embarking on,
Can you not be so thorough?
Yeah, I know. There are people who are like, that's enough. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you work for. And I don't care who you're going to sign me up with. Just get me one. Give me an IUL.
Yeah, people are like this, and we're like, not the way I do things. So you can either go at my pace, and I can go as fast as possible, but I'm not going to let you, I'm not just going to sign you up. Aren't you curious about what we're doing? No, maybe.
Yeah. And again, it's kind of a protection for ourselves, because in 6 months, if you're like, I don't understand what's happening, and I'm not, and I don't get in,
exactly.
No, there's a lot of moving parts here, but we really want you to know how this works. Plus, we like it. We think this is cool. We think this is fun.
100%.
We want to share it with everybody.
Ryan, what do you think on the presentation? What do people get the most out of? When you're going through it? Any certain information that people are always like asking so many questions about?
There's a few. Indexing is one. I think, which is an important thing to stop and explain, because that's 1/3 of the letters of IUL. So it's important.
It's 1/3. You should know what's happening with the indexes, because it's indexed.
It's indexed.
And our particular strategy and how we approach those. So that's one thing. And also there's a cute little video in there of Casey describing the difference between a poorly structured policy and a properly structured one. And so I think a lot of times in the presentation, we speak on hypotheticals, but with that particular video, you're actually explaining hard numbers. And so I think that makes things click sometimes for some of the clients we speak with.
People like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guidelines. I mean, gosh, I can't go. I will not go through any illustration, no matter how bad, because I have some of these older men that I work with that are like, just show me the numbers. I just want to see a quote. And I'm like, I'm gonna have to go through more information first, like no matter what you want to do. And they'll get on the Zoom call with me and be like, okay, like I'm ready to look at numbers. Like I'm ready to see what you got. And I'm like, I will speed up the information that I was going to go through, but we are not skipping the guidelines. Like, I don't care how quickly you want to move. And like Ryan said, I'll always do index strategy, the balance of an IUL, how we set it up and why it's important, and the guidelines, like no matter what. And then what's funny is I feel like every time I try to go fast through the guidelines, because I'm like, okay, we're almost at the end. We're going to go through these guidelines. There's 5 of them, you know, and I want to chat about them because we're about to look at numbers. And all of a sudden, another 20 minutes has gone by because they're like, wait, what about this? And how does this work? And what do you mean? And can you? And I'm like, oh, okay. So you want to get another Zoom call scheduled because now we don't have time to look at the projection, because turns out you're not as familiar with the information as you thought you wanted to be, and you were just ready to put your money down, my friend. Like,
yeah, you didn't know there was a contribution limit tailored to you in your policy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people still think that we're gonna go and have a sales pitch with them, and then when we start educating, I think people go, wait, holy shit, like you're actually teaching me something I had no idea about. And we're like,
yeah, well, and, you know, and this is all stuff too, kind of going back to what we were saying about earlier, you know, we spend so much time learning, and we're going to know everything about the fine print within these illustrations because, and how these policies work. And we were going to make sure we knew everything so that you can know everything.
Yeah, 100%.
And so we can sleep at night.
And so we can sleep at night. It gets mentioned just about every episode.
We sleep really good, guys.
We sleep really well. Someone commented on one of my last videos on TikTok and was like, how do you sleep at night selling IULs? And I was like a baby. Like, have you not listened to the podcast? What do you mean?
Yeah, we give you the information so you can make an informed decision with all of the information. And it 100%. Includes the things that most people don't want to talk about, the guidelines, the fees, the things that aren't as pretty, right? As look at the cash you could take out, or the loans, I guess. And so, you know, so it's things like that people want to see, but we're like, no, we're going to show you the other stuff too.
So they fill out a form, they get on a phone call, we get on a Zoom call, and on average, McCall, how many Zooms do you do with someone before you have a Zoom call to submit an application?
On 2 usually, but sometimes by the end of that second one, they're like ready to go.
Yeah, so 3 altogether. The
usually.
Third being that, and on a Zoom call to fill out an application, people still have questions.
Oh yeah,
100%. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it can get crazy. I mean, which is fine.
Sure.
I mean, I want people to feel like they're fully understanding things, and I understand when you're getting information fired at you, not all of it sticks. So you got to go away, process. At the end of our first Zoom, we send you the illustration that we went over. So sometimes taking a look at it on your own time will bring up some other questions. So, but yeah, the point is that it's not a speedy process, right? I mean, there's a few Zooms to go through it to make sure that you're fully understanding what's going on.
The longer I'm in this industry, I mean, I'll have had a Zoom with somebody, you know, in February. And then all of a sudden I have a second Zoom with them, you know, last month. It's been 4 months in between. We still had 2 Zoom calls, and like now they want to get a policy submitted. But in between that time, there'll be emails back and forth and answering more questions. And I actually am working with a young girl right now, which whenever it's a younger person, and I mean, she started off the conversation with like, I know nothing. Please help. Like, I just started investing, and I'm making a lot more money these days. I don't know what to do. And I want to talk to you about it. This girl it took us 2 Zooms to get through the presentation because she was just like, every single thing was questioned, and her going, am I understanding this correctly? Can I tell you what I think I heard? She'll tell me stuff back. We just had our 5th Zoom. Like,
nice.
For example, like we just had our 5th Zoom, and she's going to end up getting 3 policies. Okay. So it's a big thing that she's doing, and we have a lot of strategy behind what she's doing. 2 IULs and a term policy. She's only 25. But
that's awesome.
To get that strategy going, to get her feeling comfortable, it's all different from everybody, because like McCall said, a lot of times people, they really want it. We do a really good job explaining everything the first time we get together. And some people are like, hey, I'm good. I like the numbers. Let's get an application going. Like, I'm ready to start this bad boy. And then other people are, 5 Zooms later, and she's like, okay, now I'm ready. Like, now I get it. And whenever I have that experience with somebody, people are so grateful. They're like, thank you so much for spending so much time with me. Like, I learned so much. I have so much more information, more than I ever thought that I would get. You know, like this 25-year-old, her policies are really small. She's going to have a really good cost of insurance. I'm not making very much money off of this client. And I don't care. And she's said to me, like, am I taking up too much of your time? Like, based on, like what, you're going to get paid. Don't worry about me, girlfriend. Like, are you kidding? Like, the people care about that. And they appreciate, the time that we spend.
Well, and I also
really
think
nice.
Brings up a good point too of like, I have a lot of people that are like, how much do I have to pay you for your service? And
true.
I'm like, you don't pay me for my service. This is pro bono just, almost. Like we will
in a way.
Go through all of this with you for as long as you want.
Yeah. Especially the complimentary policy reviews we do. People are always asking, like, what does it cost for you to review my policy? Nothing, actually. Like, can't charge, won't charge for those bad boys. Like, that's just something we're doing out of the kindness of our heart, because we know that it's really
rough out
important. Yeah, it's rough out there. But altogether, I mean, this process went from you having to submit an inquiry and some information, get on a phone call with us, then get on a Zoom, and then get on another Zoom, and most likely get on a 3rd or 4th Zoom. This
really depends on how many Zooms you want at that point.
Yeah, it depends on you and what pace you want to move at. But we're talking at least 4 weeks of a process before we do anything. What else, you guys? We miss anything about the process?
I don't think so. I think that's a great overview of what people can expect once they hit that link in your bio, or my bio, or McCall's bio, or the website.
On the website, if you go to www.power3financial.com, click a link, it pops open with the form, and from there you just start following along the steps, and you'll get in touch with one of us, and we will be super stoked to hear from you. Always stoked to hear from people, whether you have a policy, need a policy, want a policy, just need more information. We have no issue with anybody who just wants more information. Like, that's part of why we do what we do. No one's paying us for the podcast or for content or for anything. Like, we're just trying to get the word out there. I hope you guys love McCall and Ryan as much as I do. I'm so glad I got to show them off today and talk about how Power 3 Financial does things. You guys got to see some of how our relationship is. Power 3 Financial is really important to all of us. Our clients are so important to us, and you guys listening as well. Thank you guys so much for being here, chatting with me today. Ryan, where can people find you on social media?
You can find me on TikTok. Is this a joke? Am I missing the joke?
No, but I'm telling you.
You got that smile on.
Right. Where can the followers find? Where can
the listeners can find me on TikTok at Fill Your Pockets, as well as on Instagram at FillYourPockets_.
Fill. Oh, we might fill your pockets, not like PHIL, like your name.
That's right. Fill them up, like you're getting an IUL.
FILL.
Your thing is growing like crazy, and your pockets are getting full of earned interest.
Let's go.
FILL.
The pockets.
Yes.
Fill your pockets.
Yes.
Amazing.
Not mine.
Amazing. Yours. Your pockets, not mine.
We're filling yours.
Yeah.
Oh man. And McCall, Where can people find you on social media?
living.lively on TikTok and _living.lively_ on Instagram.
Yes, amazing. And I'm sure those links will be in the bottom of the episode somewhere, and you can go check out our social media. And if you want to send us an inquiry, make sure you go to our website, like we mentioned, or you can find how to reach out to us in all of the links in our bios on social media. Otherwise, shoot us an email to info@power3financial.com. I hope you enjoyed listening to the three of us chit chat about things insurance related and what it's like to be our client. And we hope to hear from you soon. Thanks so much for listening, you guys. Thanks so much for being here, my friends. And this has been the You're an Asset podcast, where I'm your host, Casey the Dollar. And I'll see you next week. Bye. Okay, cut it out. The You're an Asset podcast is not giving financial advice. We are not licensed financial advisors, and our licensing is strictly in insurance products. The information that we talk about is specific to the products that we work with. We cannot guarantee that other agents will have the same product features that we discuss on the show.